And the recording has been started. So I'm going to start the session for today, this one right now. And it is on PowerPoint and how to engage students in PowerPoints, using powerful PowerPoints for learning, engagement, and motivation. So I'm going to take the PowerPoint away for a minute and just let you see me. So I'm going to stop sharing so that I can welcome you properly. So hi, everybody. Glad you are here. I would love for you to put in the chat where you are today, what location, so I can see. It's always fun to see where we're from. And we have Florida, North Carolina, Arizona, fun. Houston, DC, Canada. We usually have Canadians, LA, because of Q. We have lots of Californians. Chelsea, awesome. And usually we have a few international, but I'm a little earlier today, and so I don't know what they're doing right now. Another Texas. So glad you're here today. And we're going to explore some ways to use PowerPoints creatively to engage our kids and motivate them. And I would love for you, if you have a great idea, to share it in the chat. To always feel free that if you really want to ask something or say something during the meeting, to always feel free as well just to open your microphone and ask me. It just gets a little busy if we all start talking at once. Then we'll make sure I'm going through the content. So I'm just making sure. Let me pull up my other screen so I can see the chat over here. I thought I had it open and I didn't. So here it comes. So now I'll be able to see the chat with you. There you go. So glad to be here. I'm Julene Reed, and I am from Memphis. That's where I'm from, and we have an Ohioan in here now too. And I've been in education over 25 years, worked in elementary all through higher ed. I teach grad courses, but I've worked in a one-to-one in a school here in Memphis for 17 years, where I was director of academic technology and implemented and managed that one computer, one child, one-to-one. And then I've also done the elementary ages as well. So I've been all over the gamut. I do a lot of global education. I'm excited to be working with Q and Microsoft on this. This is a great opportunity. And they've just really, Microsoft has really supported Q and has supported all of us with these great free learning opportunities, especially at a time that's so crazy right now with all the distance learning and all the coronavirus issues we've had and not knowing what's happening next year when we go back to school. Every day is different. And so we just want to make sure we've developed our skills and thoughts about whether it's blended learning, face-to-face, or integration. I mean, our distance learning, these can all be integrated well into the classroom and within your instruction and for the students to learn as well. So having said all that, I'm going to go back and I'm actually just going to share my desktop because I'll be jumping in and out of the presentation off and on, showing some live things, but also going through the presentation. So even though my desktop gets a little messy, we're going to do it that way so you can see everything. So here I am. Let me make sure I'm seeing it. Yep, there it is. Okay. And trying to hide a few things so you don't get too dizzy here. And so we've already talked about this is PowerPoint, and I'm Julene, and this is kind of the points we're going to cover today. I don't know why it's jumping so far. There we go. So we're going to talk just very briefly about design. Because for our needs, we need to be thinking design, especially with blended learning and distance learning. We need to think about student design of their presentations. Then we're going to talk about student collaboration and student agency and how important those are. And I have some activities. You're actually going to get to do one with me today. So I want to give you a tip on that in a second. And then interactive slides and master slides. We're going to look at some options for that. We're going to look at how to turn on coaching so students can practice when they're presenting, recording, so you can use the recording feature here. There's also a recording feature in Streams that's awesome in Microsoft, and publishing with PowerPoint. So how do you do those three things? So when would you publish and why and how? And then some tips and tricks, some really cool ideas for how to use PowerPoints in engaging ways, you know, that are different and outside the box so that you can do some really fun things with them. And then I have time for questions, and I think our time will be up. So we're kind of going to start with that, and wanted to show you one thing, though, before we get going, and that is that what you'll want to do to be able to see everything more clearly is to have your windows side by side if you decide to go live with me. You don't have to, but if you decide you want PowerPoint open on one side and you want the team open on the other side. Let's see if I can get the team. Then, hold it, there it is. So here I am on one side. And let me get it open. And I'm just going to drag that window over and resize it. So it's about half the size. And that way you can be seeing what I'm doing on one side of your screen if you don't have two monitors. And it keeps jumping on me, but hold on, we'll get it back. There we go. And you can see what I'm doing on one side, and you can be seeing what's happening on the other side at the same time. Because otherwise, if you don't do this and you decide to go live, I'm going to be about this big, the size of a postage stamp. Another little tip you can do is if you hover over my image, you'll see three little dots at the side. And if I go here, I should be able to see it if I go to people instead of to, because right now I'm in, let me just get it bigger. It's hard when I'm half size. So instead of being in chat, if I go to people, I can hover over and see these three dots. And I can pin Julene Reed. And if you pin me, then I should be the one that stays at the forefront of your screen. So that's an option for you too. So those are just a couple little things because I know some people miss that in the beginning. And then they kind of are like, I couldn't see anything. Everything was so tiny. Oh, don't look for a minute while I get this small because I need to move it. There we go. All right, so back to this, and then we'll come back to going live. So let me get back to the presentation. So these are the things we're going to do. And then we're going to go into some of the tips and tricks we can use with PowerPoint, and then I'll take questions. So talking about design, and I'm sure some of you at some point have had a student that's given a presentation where they are just words and words of text, and they're reading it to you. Or you've been to a keynote or seen a presenter in professional learning where it's words and words of text, and they're reading it to you, and half the time you're not listening because you're trying to read the screen. And you really want to think about design. And so I talk to students about storytelling when they're creating some, make it and think about that for us too. So think about storytelling. You want a few images, you may have a video or two. You don't want it to be text heavy. You may have a few bullets, and that's for the visual learners. But you just don't want lots of text up there. If there's a lot of text on a slide, it's time to divide it and think about that. And especially if we're doing distance learning, we don't want long presentations. We want to chunk it and make them smaller ones that are more a series or something. So think about your design. Think about those learners who have learning problems and the visual parts of that. Microsoft has great accessibility checks built in that you can check on PowerPoint and see if it's an accessible PowerPoint with color schemes and how much is on the page and the way it's arranged. I know I've had in a graduate course a master's student turn in a PowerPoint with tons of text, and it was light gray with really light gray text on it about this big, and I couldn't read a thing it said. So, you know, you really want to help your kids through design. And when they first start, they're going to have every animation, every color, every slide's a different color, every slide has different text, you know, the routine. So that's a good thing for you to think of as we're doing this, especially with distance learning, and it's a good thing to teach our kids to think about design. And so I bring it back to simple, 3 colors, 2 fonts at the most. Think about your negative space. If you remember in art, that's the white space around your images and text. That's that negative space if it's white or whatever color. The rule of 3. So think about 3 things at one time, like beginning, middle, and end. That's how a good storyteller has a story written. That's how a good presenter presents. And usually the end refers something about the concepts presented in the beginning when it was the story. And they start off with an idea or a thought from something that's happened to them. They come back to that at the end. So think of that rule of 3. Then limit the transitions and animations. We don't need a lot of animations or transitions, especially if we're connecting digitally in the future. So those are just some really basic things I had for design. And I wanted to share with you that there are a lot of free templates out there. PowerPoint has the designer built in. If you haven't seen that pop up when you put an image in, designer comes up and gives you all these cool designs on the side, and I can show that to you. And so you get all these cool designs on the side, and you can use those, and sometimes they're super professional looking. If ever you want a different kind of presentation, Sway has some great opportunities as well, and Sway's a great one to make presentations real easy. You cannot edit it if you're a graphic artist. You'd be frustrated because you have limits on text and things, but as far as your options, but it's a super easy presentation tool. And so if you go to Slide Carnival, those Slides Carnival has lots of free presentation templates. So if you get tired of the same old template, that's an option. I'm going to show you how you can make your own today too with a Slide Master. And students can do that as well. So one of the things we're hearing and from the researchers and from educators and even the American Pediatric Association is kids are missing the interaction and the relationships and feel really left out socially, emotionally. And that's been more damaging, evidently, than any academic loss. This is their world, going to school and being with their friends and working in groups and collaborating. That's their life. That is their social life other than their family. And not being able to be there and not being able to the classroom, if we're not back face to face, how can we build in that sense of classroom if we're doing it virtually? How can you build that in? And there are lots of ways to do really great interactive, active learning activities. And in PowerPoint, that's one of them. I share lots of those on other presentations, but we're focusing on the PowerPoint today. So always be thinking about how can I get my kids to collaborate, even if it's just 2 students, or if it's a group activity. And in teams, you can make channels with groups in them, and they can have collaboration in those groups. So there are lots of ways to do that. And so that's a thought as well. But doing things to foster that social emotional learning and that student collaboration and support student agency. Those are all important. So here are just some ideas, and I'm going to talk about some, and we're going to do a couple. So think about relationship building with their peers, working in partners or groups like we talked about, being collaborative. Student created to introduce a topic, and I'm going to talk about that more in a minute, so we won't dwell on that right now. Choose your own ending. You've heard of escape rooms and breakout rooms. There's a whole, if you just Google or Bing search CYOA, choose your own ending or breakout rooms in PowerPoint, you'll find all kinds of ways to create PowerPoint slides that are like a breakout room. You can do it in forms, you can do it in slides, in presentations. So either in PowerPoint, you can choose your own ending, or in Microsoft Forms, you can choose your own ending. But that's a great activity. And to do that, you need to know how to make this interactive hyperlink scenario. So I will show you that. And we'll be making hyper slides. And then think about when you're giving kids multiple ways to learn things. And we're going to talk about this more in depth, is different ways to demonstrate understanding too. Do they always have to just write a paper, or do they always take a test? Or do they have options? You can either write a paper, do a PowerPoint, create a video, and not unlimited options, but different ways to demonstrate their understanding. And having variety right now with how we teach and variety with how we ask them to demonstrate their understanding is hugely important. So be thinking about that as well. And then e-portfolios. I had an art student who made a fabulous e-portfolio in PowerPoint. Every slide was something different, a different artifact of her work. And this could take place in any curricular area or as an entire portfolio to submit to colleges or for future work employment, because colleges are looking less on some of these tests. You've heard they're going away from ACTs and SATs in some situations, and they're looking more at portfolios and overall view of how students, their student life, what they do, and their work. So putting their best exemplars of whatever subject it is and designing it in a way that they have an electronic digital e-portfolio that they can present as their work is awesome. And we even did that in my graduate course, in our graduate program, the Digital Learning and Leading program at Lamar University. The students throughout that whole master's graduate program are creating e-portfolios. Somebody I think has their mic open. Would you please check your mics and just close your mic? And then another way you can do that, another top thing you can do is ebooks. So thank you. I saw you did that. I think you did that. If not, I'll go do it. But you can do a digital book. So when you're thinking about electronic books and being really creative and having a book that young children can make, older children could make, it could be on osmosis or whatever, but it slides and you can change the way that slide interacts, whether it's vertically or horizontal, landscape, portrait, and you can do that with Sway too. And then their digital book is just like reading a book when they publish it. And now it can be really media rich with that opportunity. So thinking about creating ebooks, with PowerPoint. So these are just some ideas that just, I threw out there for you to think about. And I have others I'm going to share through our time together. So we're going to go explore right away. So would you go on and make this window half your screen?
Everybody's going to watch baby?
Yeah, I'm going to turn my mics here because I think we do have a mic open. So let me just get that mic closed and see where it is. There it is. Let me just mute them. All right, I think we got it. So if you would just make sure again, like I showed you before, and if you joined late, let me remind you or tell you those have come late. If you'll take one half your screen, if you don't have dual monitors, and make it just take a window and just make it cover half the screen with your team meeting where you can see me over here. And then on the other side, you could be opening PowerPoint or whatever. And I'm actually going to give you a link of something I want you to open in your browser. So right now on one half of the screen, I would put your teams, and on the other half, your teams meet. And on the other half of the screen, I would go open a browser. I love the new Chromium Edge. Nobody really liked the first Edge because it crashed a lot. It had a lot of problems, but the new Chromium Edge is really nice. And I haven't had any trouble with it. So you might look at that. You might look at Firefox or Chrome or whatever you like to use for your browser of choice and open that, because next I'm going to give you a link. So let me get back over here. And this is a link I'm going to give you. And so let me tell you what this is before I give it to you. So let me get this down here for you so you can see better. So what slide? So when you're doing a collaborative slideshow and you have a lot of students in a slideshow, you're not going to have as many as we might have possibly could have had today, but I think we're okay. I was looking at our numbers and I think we're okay to all do this today. So I have to be careful when I'm presenting this way because I never know. We have 19, we can do it with 19. So I never know what's going to happen. And we're not going to make this a finished project or a finished product. You're just going to have a couple minutes to work in it and then we'll move on because I want to share things with you. But when your kids get used to this, if you have a class collaborative slideshow, which is great for beginning of the year activity or something, if you have that, then when they get used to it, they'll just pick a slide that's open. They'll find a slide nobody else is working on and they'll pick it. For young children, or when you're first starting this, or for a large group, you might want to give them a document where they're now going to sign up for that slide. They have, and I use these kinds of tables for research projects where they identify their research project. It's in one document that they can edit, or maybe they're independent reading or something like that. So I'm going to give you this, and I want you to find a row. And all you need to do this time is just find a row, and you're going to put, yes, it's safe. Let me have it. You're going to see this, and you're just going to go to that row and type your name and claim your slide number. So let me make sure I have the right slide link. And when I give you the PDF, it'll be hyperlinked for you, so you won't have to worry about that. But for now, I'm just going to put in the chat for you. So if you'll go to the chat, and in the chat, let me open full screen because I don't see it until I do. Here is my chat, and here is your link. All right, click on that and see if it, let me know. Somebody open your mic or just say in chat it works. Let me know it worked and that you can edit.
Yeah.
So either open your mic and say I'm in, or I'll see you start joining. I see people starting to join, I think. Yeah, there you go. Yay. I'm gonna get that. While you're putting your name on one, don't look at the screen. I don't want you to get dizzy. I'm going to get the next link for you. So it'll be ready. There, I've copied it. And I'll have it ready to go to chat. So this is a good way with a large group of people, especially when they're new to doing this type of thing, to get them to, I can find the chat again, to sign up for a slide and not walk on top of each other. And when you're working with kids, you're going to want to really set some norms for them, because what they'll do is accidentally sometimes, of course, get on somebody else's slide. So they have to stay on their own slide. So now if you'll go back into the chat and look here, that slide number you had, which slide? It looks like a lot of you have now filled it out. I'm seeing people coming in. So we have a bunch of us who filled it out. And you can go on and go to the second link in the chat. So now you have a second link in the chat, and I'm going to guide you through what our project is. Give you a second to get there. So when you get there, don't start yet. Just wait so I can give you a couple background ideas.
Julene, did you already put the second link in the chat?
I did. Let's see if I remember to push enter. And maybe I didn't push enter. Let me look and see. Because I put it there and then I thought I'd gone on and gone it through, but maybe it hasn't. So, okay, let me just put it in again. Because I actually saw the icon for it, which is really funny. There it is. See, it's right here, but I didn't push the enter. Okay, push enter. There it goes. Something about pushing enter helps. I saw that icon pop and I thought, oh, I already did it. So sorry about that. Now you should be in that. And I'm going to set the stage for you. Is it working okay now? Either put in the chat if you're in. Oh, I see you popping in. I see people popping in now. All right, so you're all going to show up as guests because you didn't come as students. But if you were in your student account, I would know who's doing what, and I could see who's here, and I would have that history to look at as well. So what I've done here is I've actually made a template, and you don't have to do templates, but I'm going to show you how I did the template super fast. And this is great for young children so that you get the information you want real quick. So if you could go, just think right now, if I could leave right now for this weekend and go anywhere in the world, forget COVID, where would I go? Where would I go right this minute? And think of a place. Access denied. I see some people in it. Are some of you in it? I see guest contributors. Can someone tell me if they're in it for sure? Let's go share one more time.
Yeah, so what's happening is, Julene, this is Mary Shaw, but I did it two ways. So I clicked it right from the actual chat and then on the actual icon. And so when it opens, it just opens into the Google search engine. And then when you click on the actual icon within the chat, instead of copy paste, it actually just says request denied.
Okay, so let me just do this. Let me go in here. See, it has anyone with the link is connected. And if we don't get to do it, you'll understand. I'm going to apply it. And here's my link. So I'm going to copy it. I don't know how else to do it except put it back. You know what? Let me put on the bottom that other document. How about that? Why don't we try that?
Okay.
Let me do that. Or at the top. Let me put it on the top of the slide document, which I almost did anyway. But usually it'll work right there. So let me put it here. And let me hyperlink. Well, actually, let's not even hyperlink it. Just copy that.
Mm-hmm.
And to see if it works that way.
Okay.
See if we can go in the back door. If not, I'll move on and we won't stand to the here. I'll just make it a link too. Because hopefully that will do it. It was shared, right? Anybody there yet? Yeah, it worked. You know, sometimes you have to go in the back door and the front door doesn't work. Awesome.
Perfect.
All right, so back to our presentation. And I've done this for lots of different things. I do it in workshops. And sometimes it's a really good one to start a school year with and just give them the certain things you want to put, like how many dogs do you have, how many cats, whatever, you know, just something about your favorite sport, your favorite music. It could be a form, but you could do it as a PowerPoint. So anywhere in the world, if you go anywhere in the world, where would you go? And so the next slide, I always give the instructions. Open your slide number. And I don't know why this quit if no number is what they're supposed to say, if not assigned. So if they don't have an assigned number, you could just let them pick a slide that's empty. And so the norms you said are you only work on your own slide. And we're also going to talk about don't go changing the whole style of all the slideshow. You can change the color if you want of yours with the background of your slide, but you'll find out people will instantly start changing the whole slideshow because they'll think, oh, I want mine to be blue, and then the whole show will change. So you'll have to maybe go through that, you know, don't change the theme or anything like that. And so when you get here, you're going to see this template. Mary's already doing hers. And so the template says your name goes here. So you would just hover over that, put your name, your place you want to go goes here. You would put a few points about why you want to go there, and then add images. And to insert an image, you're just going to go to Insert, and this is online, but you could be doing it a different way, Pictures, and do Bing Pictures. And when you do Bing Pictures, then you can search right here. You don't have to go outside and get another image, and they're Creative Commons copyright. So take a minute and just put a couple things on there. Just play in your slideshow for a minute. And this was the example that I had for this imaginary student. You could also insert online videos here if they are doing something else and they want to put a video there. But we're just doing something really quickly. And what I love as a teacher, I'm already able to see these things populate. So think about when your kids are doing a collaborative presentation like this, now they can you can be going through and seeing everything as they're building, see who might need some help. And even if it's a small group, I could put a comment here if I needed to, because I can go right up here and insert a comment and say, cabin in the woods. Don't take Wi-Fi. Someone tell her no Wi-Fi. So I just told Stacy, no Wi-Fi. But I'll go with the cabin in the woods. And then, of course, if you had a comment, you could edit, delete it. I'm just going to delete it. You could reply to it. So as a teacher and you're watching them, you could do this and working on the presentation, even if it's just a group of a few of them, you could go in and watch them and you could be helping, giving comments and feedback. And that's so important. So Mary's going to Montego Bay, which sounds really, I didn't know it was called Mo Bay. Well, aren't you the good one? I'm from New Orleans too, Mary. So I love New Orleans. And Liz, Washington, D.C., she wants to go there because she's curious about the, wait for it. This is typing. The White House. All righty. And Stacy's going to the cabin in the woods, but I'm telling her not to take her Wi-Fi. Paris, I love Paris. Armando, I love that one. And Christina's going to Louisville, not right now, Louisville. But oh, your first grandchild, yeah. They just had some unrest there. And we may have skipped a couple, but you can always clean that up later. Let's see who else. Oh, Bali. Bali looks beautiful. My brother ended up in the hospital from too much deep sea diving once there, but it's beautiful. Let's see, I'm not sure we're all doing. Here's Idaho. Our sister lives there. Interesting, a lot of you just want to go see your family, which I'm not surprised. But you get the idea. So it's a collaborative slideshow. And what's interesting when you do this sometimes, and you have each student come up and talk to their slide, or I do this in workshops, and you come and talk to it, and it's really interesting, especially when they kind of know each other. They always learn something they didn't know about the other person. So I love this. I love this for group activities. I love this for just regular slideshows, like this, something where it's the whole session. Everybody in the class is doing one, even if it's just one slide each like this. It could even be an emotional check-in, a social emotional check-in. Put one picture here that shows me how you feel today with your name. Just anything quick. And the quick way to make all those templates, if you make them, is make it on one. And then Control D, or if it's a Mac, Command D, duplicate, done. You don't have to copy paste, just duplicate really fast. So that's that. And so I love the options it gives for collaboration. And so when I'm talking about collaboration in groups and things, it really does help with that social emotional learning and that relationship building. And if it's shared with your teams or with your email or school district tenant account, it's easy to provide feedback because you're already invited. And you'll have their accountability because they will have their names there. Now there's accountability to make sure everybody in the whole project is doing their own part. You can assess it, you can give feedback, and they can present. So they can present from their computers from a distance location. If I have kids working collaboratively, I always have them talk to their own slides. So let's say I'm working on something like a state slideshow for elementary or middle, early middle. Or I'm doing something in a study of France. We were going to Paris. And so whatever age group, I would give them kind of a template or a rubric for how I'm going to assess them. And so the state may have the bird, the flower, the motto, the song, famous people, presidents from that state, whatever. For France, you might be, each group might have a different city in France. It's Marseille and Nice and Paris. And for each city that they're working on, they're going to have different things like tourist attractions, historical people, food, culture, sports, things like that. And so you kind of organize it and they go off and they work on it and they come back and they present it. And when they present to the slide that they did. Kids get really nervous presenting and they're not used to it because they're very shy sometimes, but it's just practice. If they get used to doing it, they'll be much more confident. And safety in numbers really comes to play. So if they do a presentation collaboratively and then they all present to their own slide, it's not like the spotlight's just on you. It's on everybody in the group. And that really helps build that. And that's an important life skill, that they feel confident in standing up and talking to other groups, which I kind of jumped ahead. You'll see that slide in a minute. And then when you're face-to-face, either they can do it through distance learning, or when you're face-to-face, they'll come to the front of the room. And what's nice is, if it's been shared with you, you don't have that old-fashioned, here, let me plug in my computer, wait, it's not projecting, and everybody else is going nuts while you're trying to get the computer to project. And now you have it in your drive, your OneDrive, or your PowerPoint list of shared with me, and they just have it right there. They can share it and present right off your computer because it's in your slides, it's in your list of presentations. And then you can work, like I said, if you're in teams, each group could have a channel where they're working on the presentation and they can collaborate. Some people like to keep the same groups all the time for kind of uniformity or consistency. I like to change. I think it's nice for kids to have a chance to switch groups. So when we did Minecraft in 6th grade in a history, social studies class, and they were building ancient Roman cities. And so they were doing different things, knowing how they were formed and everything. And at the beginning, I put a Minecraft expert in every group. And that was great for a week, but then I switched it because otherwise the one that's learning doesn't have a chance to shine. The one that's the expert doesn't have a chance to grow because they're always helping the others. So change your groups up. Take variety, and then take time while they're doing these to have meets, check-ins. How are you doing? What's going wrong? What do you need help with? What's your next plan? And those check-ins are really powerful for that feedback, and those conversations. Those are really powerful for any kind of learning right now. And then when you're we're going to get into tips and tricks and ideas here, but think about not just how you demonstrate understanding, but how you learn things. So whether it's called choice boards, learning menus, hyperdocs, think about different ways to learn things. I might learn best watching a Khan Academy video or a YouTube education video of some kind. You might learn best by researching it on the web and finding an article. Someone else might learn best by reading the chapter in the book. There's different ways to learn. So giving them a choice of maybe they have to do this, but they can do one of these 2 or 3 other things to learn the subject matter. And then how can they demonstrate their understanding? And I mentioned this before. And this is, again, those learning choice boards, learning menus, and hyperdocs. Can they make a movie? Can they make a book? Can they write a report? Can they give a presentation? All these different ways. And not that you're going to open it up to everything, but think about options that are varied throughout every assignment or project. And so give them 2 or 3 each time. And this helps those kids who don't always do well on tests to show you that they can do well in other ways and be creative. Sometimes you'll have low tech, sometimes you'll have no tech or some tech, and sometimes you'll have high tech. So think about that too, varying your technology use. I know even being at home, sometimes we just want them to do a hands-on project and then share it. Then they can share it with pictures on a PowerPoint. So even if they're doing a hands-on project, it can still be shared via PowerPoint. And then just, for us now, with especially vary your instructional strategies and the approaches that you're using to teaching and learning. And this is a video. If you get the slides, you'll have, this is Dr. Dwayne Harapnik talking about COVA, the COVA model of choice, ownership, voice, and understanding. And actually it's supposed to be authenticity, so I think I just copied the understanding down. But another way I like to use this is thinking about presenting background information for a unit of study. So if you're getting ready to study a topic, instead of you being the one that always gives that background information, you might assess what you already know, your KWL chart or digitally or a quick form to see what they already know. But then you can put them in groups and have them research a topic and present to the rest of the class and teach that background information. My AP psychology teacher did this, and they were studying different theories of psychology. And each group picked a theory, and one was individuation. I remember that one. And they could do stop motion, or they could do a PowerPoint presentation or whatever. But it really was amazing to have them present that theory and teach it. They could present it, I've seen it done with historical figures from World War II. Everyone does their presentation on that figure. And then as a teacher, you're still listening. You're still asking those guiding questions and finding, pulling the information out and making note what was missed so that you can go back and, make those connections where they're missing. And so once again, this is really active learning. It really is a way that we want to get our kids to have agency, and it develops their own self-learning skills or independent learning and that lifelong learning skill. So I love the learner agency. And if you're doing a lot of graphics work, so if you've ever been in Word and try to put multiple pictures, and then you have to put text wrap or behind the text or in front of the text and move it around and jumps around, and things aren't going like you want. If you're doing a lot of graphics, have the kids work in PowerPoint, because in PowerPoint they can go in and they can go to slide size in design. It says go to design at the top and go to slide size. And now they can pick which way it's oriented. But not only that, if you look down at the bottom, it says custom slide size. And then that's a drop down on the right that says custom with about 25 things. Or you can just go straight to custom and pick the exact height and width and orientation you want. So now you can make brochures, you can do all kinds of things in PowerPoint and treat it almost like a publishing document, like the old Microsoft Publisher we had. And so you can create all kinds of graphical things here just by changing the slide size. And so you can make it be the size of an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And then they have a piece of paper that's the regular type of paper, only it's a screen of PowerPoint slide that's digital, but they can treat it as if it's a document. When you're doing something like that, you can do infographics, all kinds of infographics, and you just kind of give them the sizes that it needs to be. So they could do a poster kind of infographic. They could do a long and thin one, bumper sticker, design or something, all kinds of ways they can set that up just by changing those slide sizes. And in some programs, it's called page setup. And in this, it's called slide size. Any questions or anything you'd like to share here before I jump ahead? And you can put them in the chat, or if you have an idea that you've done something you've done with your students and you'd like to share that right now, that'd be great to hear from you. I'll just wait a minute and see if anybody wants to add anything. Thank you. Well, wait till you see some of the ones I have coming up. So there's some great ideas here too. Oh, history labs. And Loretta, how have you used it for history labs? You can just open the microphone if you want to tell us, or you can just type it. We'd love to hear. Like a hyperdoc. Awesome. If you're not sure what a hyperdoc is, and I'm going to kind of show you one, sort of, but think a document with hyperlinks. And the hyperlinks can go internally within a slideshow, or they can go off to the web. And so some people do tic-tac-toe boards where the kids have to do everything in the middle, but then they have to make a tic-tac-toe with 2 other options, and they get to pick from those options. So there's lots of ways to do hyperdocs, and if you search it, you'll find a zillion. So I'm going to show you planets in our galaxy, and I do want to give you this link as well. So you'll have to close your eyes for a minute because I don't want you to get dizzy again. And actually, I should have stayed in that. Let me just go back and get in it. So we're going to do planets in our, actually, I gave you a bit.ly this time. So if you go to bit.ly/planet prezo, and I'm going to, I shoved it in this chat. I have 2 plants. That way I don't have to make you dizzy. If you'll do that, and I probably should have put the HTTP. No period between planet and prezo. I did that the first time, but there's no period. And let's make sure that works for you. And let's see if it works for me on my Teams one. Yep, I think you're there. So this one you can view as, so if you'll go here, and I'm going to click on it myself so I can get there. I'll take you there. And hopefully it'll work for you. And it may not until you make a copy of it, but I want you to be able to see it. So you may have to edit to be able to do what I'm doing, but this way at least you can see it. Yeah, you read only, I think. You know what? Let me sign in. And if you just don't edit it, it'll be okay. I'll let you have edit privileges so you can see what I did. So I'm going to switch profiles here. It's going to pop back up. There it is. Now I'm in. There we go. And down here, I think. It's jumping everywhere. Because I want you to see how to make this hyperlink. And so if you can just hold on a second. You're making this way too hard for me. It shouldn't be this hard. Just do it. There it comes. All right, so now if I hit it, knows me now. So if I'm gonna change it. Oh, it says you can edit, so I think you're okay if you're able to edit. Yeah. Okay, so we're not going to change this one specifically. We'll let you make a new one in a minute that you can play with. But in this one, we have hyperlinks embedded. So if you'll go to slideshow presentation, just either through slide present or go down to the bottom here where you have that little like presentation screen and click it, or just watch. You don't have to do it yourself. This is an interactive slideshow. So you can make a hyperdoc this way. You can make a choose your own ending this way. You could do something like this one could be Costa Rica or Bali. We're going to Bali. This is Bali. Here's a picture. You get to Bali, your car breaks down. What are you going to do next? And you can put swim across the river, hike up the mountain, take the canoe I see. And then for each one you do, they keep having a choose your own ending. That's kind of the idea. And it would take them to a different slide with more options. And then you could see what happens. So that's one way you can do it. This was more for a demonstration of understanding. And it was just, it's a practice one. It's not a real one. So if I click on Mercury, I go to the page on Mercury. So I've given facts about Mercury. This takes me off to NASA with more facts about nursery. And then I can go, Mercury, I don't know where that came from. Mercury, and then I can go back home. And then same with Venus, although there's nothing there, and go home. And the same with Earth, and go home. So on every slide, you either need a home button to go back, or you need the slides need to interact to take them to their next place. And those are hyperlinks that are made just within the PowerPoint. So not hard to do. So if you open a new PowerPoint right now, we're going to do this really fast, but I'm just going to go to PowerPoint at the top here and get a new PowerPoint for you to see. I'm just going to show you a couple things. So if you open a new PowerPoint slide, and we're just going to call this one, we'll call it Bali because she wants to go to Bali, and I think that sounds fun. And so I'm not putting anything fancy here. I'm just putting some words. And notice so that designer popped up over here, and it's already given me some ideas for my design if I would want to use one. But I'm going to close it. There's Bali, and then I'm just gonna duplicate this slide for right now just to make it easy. And I'm gonna do it 2 more times. So on my first one, I'm gonna make this be really small, and we'll make this. You know, we would tell a story, and we'd say, you know, you're stuck on, your car broke down, and you have 3 ways to get out of here. You see a boat, you could take that boat. I'm going to copy paste that and put it up somewhere else. Oops, not that one. Go away. And so just put 3 across the bottom. So we're going to call this one boat. No, let me get it done right. I don't want to out of it. There we go. I think I got it that way. Paste it. There we go. Just didn't grab it right the first time. And then for my third one, I'm going to do it again. Only one of them is going to be swim the river. I'm going to take the boat. I'm going to make it really short. Swim the river, or I'm going to climb the mountain. Let's see what I find. Go up the path. So I've given 3 options. So that's my title slide. On this one, this is going to be my swim. Now this is my boat slide. This is my swim slide. So I've gone down to each slide now. I've just given it a name just so I can identify it. And then this is going to be my boat slide. No, the mountain. I think that was what I had left. So if you look back, my first one has falling. It has 3 options: boat, swim, climb. Boat, swim, that should be climb. And then this one should be climb, not mountain, but you get the idea. So I have 3 slides. So now what I can do is hyperlink each of those to the slide they go to. So to do that, I'm going to click on this and I can right click it. Not liking it, but I could. Come on, let me highlight it and see if it likes it. Well, we'll just go up to insert. Sometimes it likes it and sometimes it doesn't. So just highlight your text, go up to insert and click on link. Highlight your text. So I can get it bigger for you. And then go up to insert. And when you're in insert, you'll see link. I got it too small, but it'll be here. And then when you get that link, there it is. So highlight my text, do the insert. And sometimes I actually have to do the right click. So let me see if it'll do it. And hopefully yours is working. Mine's being a little stubborn. There. Now, if I did the right click after I highlighted it, I get a little different. Okay, why are you doing this? When I hit insert, it's not working. Great, come on. Insert, and you should be able to insert to another page in the document. So let me take you over here. I don't know what I'm doing wrong or why it's not working. If you have an idea, tell me. Because when I go here and I'm highlighting this one and I click it and I go to link, I get, okay, why are you not, oh, there's Mercury. No, this is crazy because it should let me go to anywhere else in my slideshow. And that's what, to another page of my slideshow. Let me see if I can figure out why it's not letting me. Because usually I have a little drop down here and it lets me do that. So let me just take that all away and start again. And I tested everything today except this one. Okay, hold on. What I'm missing, because it's always worked to a different, and if anybody finds that, figures it out, let me know. PowerPoint slide. All right, select the image, choose insert links, hyperlink, or the hyperlink button. Place in this document on the left side of the dialog box. And why do we not see that left side? And then click the slide. So I don't know why. I guess I need to go to the dummies. Here we go. Let's go to PowerPoint. I'm at Microsoft. Click on insert, click, and then in the insert line, yeah, it's just not showing. I don't know why, because it usually says in the insert hyperlink dialog box, it'll go right to another, it'll give you the option. So I don't know what's going on with it. Let me try it in my desktop version. You know, anytime something doesn't work well on the web, always try it on the desktop version, but it should be working either place. Both of those should be the same, so I don't know why it's doing that. There it is. Let me try this and see if I can open it here. I don't want to go there right now, but here's my desktop version. So let me just see if I can take anything and make it work. So that's not really, that was a screenshot. So I'm just going to take any word and see if I can make it work on the desktop version. Okay, on the desktop version, you see what it does, and I don't know if you can see it. Let me make it bigger, but it should have been doing this on the other one, so I don't know what's going on with it. But on the desktop version, it'll pull down to my presentation, like planets in our galaxy. It would link there, but if I pull down to the same one I'm on, which is Read Global Academy, this one, it'll link to the main one, but it should also give me the option to pick another slide right here in this presentation. So if I insert link here, all right, so this is the window I've been looking for, and I don't know why it didn't show up before, but it's showing up now. So if you make your screen really big, let me show how I got there in the desktop version. So, and I thought it worked on both, but once in a while you'll find something that doesn't. So I'm just putting random words here for you to see. I'll just take this one off, and where it says insert link, I can just take it away. Remove link. You get a lot more options here, and maybe it does have to be done here, but insert publish, insert link, go to publishing, right click it, go to link, and you would just pick the same one here, the same presentation the first time. And when I print it, and when I pick it, edit link, and it worked a second ago. There we go. When I go to edit that link, and maybe if I edit the link on the other, but I don't know if it'll let me, we'll try that. Notice I can do several things. I can link it to an existing file or web page. I can link it to a place in this document. And when I link it to a place in this document, that's where I can pick exactly what slide I want to link to. And so that's what we would do when we're doing this other one, when it's not wanting to work with us here. And so when I'm here and I'm in Bali, and let me find Bali again and see if it matters when we just go off and do the other thing. You know, if I just do here, let's go on and just insert anything. Now it should let me enter the link, and it's not giving me that. So maybe it's a desktop thing, but I thought it worked in both. So you would put that link though, just like I showed you. And once you've set it up in there, then you can link to the specific pages in your slideshow. And that way it all works beautifully together. And so now if I did this one that way, when I clicked on boat, it would take me to my boat slide. When I clicked on swim, it would take me to my swim slide. And the other part, and maybe this is all related to being the desktop app, because I can also use a slide master, and I wanted to show you the slide master, and the slide master is only available in the desktop app. So let me show you how I did this one. Let's just say on Mars here, I wanted to add something. So right here, oh, it's not, come on. Let me sign into it again. Hold on, I'm closing this, closing it. Let me just get out of it. All right, let me get my PowerPoint down here. And open it. And it's hiding here somewhere. And I'm going to open it on my desktop app to make sure I'm in the right one. There it is. All right, so now I'm in the desktop app again. It just disappeared. So if I'm here, and let's say I wanted this one, let's say I wanted to do another one. Let's just pretend like instead I wanted to go to, instead of Mercury here, maybe I'm going to make a slide for Pluto. New slide, Pluto. And so I'm just going to type Pluto here. We're going to make this work. Yeah. Insert text. Here goes Pluto. And all I would do then, hopefully, is right click on that, get it highlighted, and right click or option click or go up to insert click, insert link, whatever I want to do to get there. Insert link. And when I click on just this, don't pull down to the option. If I just click on the link, it goes to a place in this document, and there's a Pluto slide, and there's Pluto, and it says okay. So now when I go and present it, no thanks. And I click on Pluto, it takes me to my Pluto slide. And my home button is still there because I did the home button in the master slide. So it all works fine as long as you stay in the desktop version. It was my bad for trying to do it on the web. So let me show you the master slide, and this does have to be done in the desktop version. So if you're in PowerPoint and you're in the master slide, you just go to View. Right here it says View. Let me get down where you can maybe see it. View. And let me see if it'll get bigger for you. No, it's only like that. Click out, click out. Yeah. The slide's not going to get better. So it says View Slide Master. So let me tell you about Slide Masters, and this is how you can make your, oh, yours was under Insert Action. Cool, Amanda, thank you. Amanda found it, awesome, thank you. So when I'm in Slide Master and it opens, it always ends up in the second one. For some crazy reason, it does that in PowerPoint, it does that in Google Slides. So always go back to the top one. That's your real master for every single slide, no matter what layout. All these others are layouts, different kinds, like one with a bullet list, one with two text boxes. But if you want to be on every single one, you would go to the Slide Master. So I'm going to take away my button and show you how I made that. So it could be an image for home. It could be back to Bali or whatever you want to do for that. And so now I can just insert a shape. We're just going to make it easy and quick. We're going to do insert a shape. It's going to be around a button. I'm going to put it down here so it's not in the way. I'm just going to leave it the color it is, but I can change it any color I wanted to. And I could put a text box on there that says, you know, home. So if I go up and actually, I don't have to. It's going to come up with the text box. So now it says home. I can change it to, in Google Slides, you have to actually do the text box, but I can change it to anything I want it to be. So there's home. There's my home button. So now all I have to do is click on it. And once again, right click, link, and I can just go to insert link here like I would before. At the bottom, instead of picking one, a place in this document. And I'm going to go to the first one called Planets in Our Galaxy and click OK. So what I just did was I made, and I need to bring this to the front. I don't know why my home went away. It gets back behind. Yeah. So what I did was I made a button that is on every single slide now, if you look. On every single slide I have a button. And that's what really is helpful and fast. My text went to the back, but I made a hyperlink, so I might have to go on and put home on there again, or unless I missed it somehow. So let's just go edit my link and let me look at it. Planets in Our Galaxy, text to display, home. Don't know why it's not, must be the color. So maybe the color is wrong here. So let me just check because it changed. So let me go change that to yellow. There we go. It was just a color issue. At least that was easy. So here's home. It's on every single page. And when I'm done, all I have to do is go back. And this is the tricky part. That's why I put this on the icon or the screenshot of it on your slide deck. I have to go back to View. I have to go back to Slide Master. And then I have to back out of this Slide Master. So here's my Slide Master, and I need to come out of it, and come on. Slide Master is up here. This is always the tricky part. It tricks me every time because I have Slide Master in a view, but now that I've used it and opened it, it's over here in the ribbon at the top left. I don't know, I know that's really tiny and I can't make it big. That's right between File and Home. And when I get there, I can even rename this and save it. And so I just close the master view, and now I'm done. And now watch what happens when I present. Home, and then Pluto, home, Mercury. So there you go. And notice on the bottom of my screen, this is one of the things I wanted to show you. Do you see the translation coming across? This is PowerPoint translation. So as you're teaching your kids, if you have a lot of students from another country, you can pick whatever language you want to be showing at the same time, which is really helpful for those ones that are struggling learners of the English language. So that's something you can easily turn off and on, and that's on our next slide in just a second anyway. So we have gone through that. Let me get back to where we are. We're getting really close to being near the end here, and actually it's almost time now. And you'll have the slide link in just a second. So this takes you through how to do the slideshow and set it up. So when you have, if you want to do something with coaching with your kids, if you want to coach them, let them practice their slideshow, there's a really cool thing, and it has to be the online version for this one, not the desktop version. And Microsoft Schools for them to be the same so we don't keep getting confused. It's just not there yet. But on the online version, they can rehearse the presentation. It actually gives them information on the side about how long it took, if they had a lot of in the middle of it, to really practice presenting, which is awesome. It's good for you too. You can record a slideshow. If you go up to slideshow and say record from the beginning or this current slide, you can talk to it and be showing it and playing it, and it'll save a recording for you. So that's a good thing to use. I love being able to see the teacher's face, as do the kids. So using other tools like Microsoft Stream will let you do that. Screencastify will let you do that. Having that connection with your face and you talking is important. And then another thing you can do is publish a slideshow presentation. So you can publish it in lots of ways. When you go to File Export, you can create a video, you can create an animated GIF out of it, and you can publish it to Microsoft Stream. So now it plays like a video. So that's another thing you can do with your slide presentations that is helpful right now as well. So I love those ideas to think about. And then here are some other ideas that you're gonna think are fun, but let me show you my best trick. And this was, and some of you've heard this. When you're presenting in PowerPoint, it takes up the whole screen. And when you take up the whole screen, then it's a problem, you know, because you can't get to anything else, especially if you're working with kids. But if you go up here to Slideshow and decide to set up show, select set up show, which is right here. If you select that, you can go down here and say browse by an individual window. So it'll present in a browser window. So now I still have access to my desktop. So that's a really good trick for you as well to consider when you're working with your kids. Assessment, I always recommend a rubric when you're doing PowerPoints for assessment, assessing them on creativity, content, presentation, all those things. I showed you the translation tool. This will show you how to get there. And it's right there under subtitle settings, and you can pick your language out of a zillion different languages. And then resources I've given you are some really good ideas. And some of these are all Microsoft, some of these are Google, but the idea, the concept for lesson design and integration is the same. It doesn't matter what tool you're using, it's the educational application of it. So you can do newsletters, you can do comic strips, animations by having things move across the screen. Choose your own adventure story. There's a couple ideas, and Jeopardy games. And I did give you, these are Jeopardy templates that are linked that are PowerPoints. So lots of different kinds of Jeopardy templates for gamification. On Ditch That textbook, they have all these cool templates you can use, like this or that, would you rather, vocabulary clusters. They have a Snapchat, the Snapchat, they had another one for Instagram, but they all are to be integrated. They're fun, but they're to be integrated. And then here's 5 more ideas for presentation ideas that will engage your students at whatever level it is. So that's the end of it. That was a lot. Here's how you request the slides. I'm a little behind, but that's my goal by the end of the week is to get them all sent out. So if you're waiting on one still, it's coming. I haven't forgotten. And if you just go there and fill out that Microsoft form, I'll send you the slides for this presentation. And what we learned today was you can only do edit link and hyperlink in the desktop app. We figured that one out, didn't we? Except one of you found a way to do it. You have to switch open a desktop. Yep, just click the open. Yeah, you can. So when you're in a PowerPoint, and that's a great point if people don't know that, you can always open it in your desktop app if you're signed in. So easy to do. You know, it's just right there, open in my desktop app. And this was the desktop app here. A different one to go here. That's a desktop app too. I have to find one that's in the web. Here we go. Here's one in a browser window. Notice it always says open in the desktop app. That's a great point to share with you because sometimes you have to move back down to that desktop app and you can just say open in the desktop app. It's going to tell you it's going to PowerPoint. You tell it to open. It's going to open that right here. And now for my Bali boat, that's where I could have gone and said insert link. And then I would have quickly done, although we found that to place it in this document, there's Bali. Okay. And then here would be swim. And I would just do that. So you can quickly toggle back and forth. And when I'm done, I can just say resume editing here. And I'm right back there again. So that's a great one there. And you said you saw it under insert action too. So we're just going to look while we're here because that'll drive me crazy. So insert and then action. Where do I see action? Not seeing that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it there. So, but it's in, we know it's in the desktop app and action is on the, oh, there you go. It's on the desktop version. So it has to be on the desktop and you saw it's super easy once you figure out not to try and do it in the cloud, super easy. And really creative for kids to do choose your own endings. And what they can even do, they can relate it to history and historical figures, you know, and where did he live? What was his claim to fame, and something else. So they're all linking out science, math, whatever. So these interactive slideshows are awesome. So that's it for today. It was a lot. I know I threw a lot at you, but I just want you to find some ideas of ways to engage your kids and give them some choice and voice and ownership in the things they're doing, and just let them, have the opportunity to choose the way they learn and choose the way that they're sharing their understanding. And then also just to think about, how can I engage them? How can I make this learning more active? Because as we continue to be home, and we may be home at least part-time at home, that's the biggest thing people are asking. The two biggest things are social emotional learning, relationships, and how do I make them engaged? So glad you came here today. Everything is right there for you in the slideshow. And if you did this, you will have the link and you'll have all the hyperlinks, and I'll clean up that one little word I had wrong, and hope that you found some ideas that you can use. And PowerPoint is more than just doing a presentation. And just remember that there's tons of ways to use it in engaging ways. All righty. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, to share, stay and talk.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm happy to stay and show you anything you want.
Thanks. And Julene, did you say you were from New Orleans too?
I did. I go into high school. I went to 1 year of middle school and high school there.
Okay.
I lived in Metairie.
Okay. I'm from uptown.
Oh, I love New Orleans. You lived in a really cool part.
Yeah, it was a cool part. It was a cool part. But I'm in Dallas now, but I can't wait until we get through COVID so that I can go home. It's been a few months.
Oh, I know. It's been a crazy time for sure. I'm just ready for it all to end. Like, my mother lives here in town and she's 92 and I haven't seen her for almost 4 months. It's just crazy.
Wow.
So it'll be good when it's all over and we can get back to some sense of normalcy again.
I know.
Well, thanks for coming today.
Well, thanks for presenting. I learned a lot, so I will share this with my teachers. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome.